Welcome back to the Diaries of a Witch podcast. My name is Angelica Crazy. We are talking about one of my favorite things in the whole world, which is books and studying and summer reading. Okay, does anyone remember the library programs in the summer? At least this is me growing up in the early 2000s in the United States. There were these library lists where you fill out each book you read and you either get prizes or stickers, or I forget exactly what you got, or a pizza party or something. But I just remember reading a book and almost wanting to finish it because I wanted to mark it off. I don't know. Today we're talking about my summer reading list, my summer book list, because I'm going away this summer. I'm trying to figure out what books to bring with me. I'm not going to bring all of these books. I have quite a few stacked up right here. They're kind of off camera, you can't see them, but I have quite a few books. I'm not going to bring them all, but I just started putting together these TBR piles for myself for the summer, and I was like, wait a second, this is the perfect thing to do a video about, is just to let you know what I am reading. I also wanted to give you some tips for how to focus your summer study, your summer occult studies. So I think before we hop into exactly what I'm reading, I just wanted to share with you a couple of my ideas for creating a path of study this summer. First of all, I think the summer provides a really cool opportunity to kind of reassess your year in terms with your goals for anything. I think that reassessing your goals midway through the year and asking yourself okay, did I have a set goal of what I wanted to study this year? Did I not? Did I have a set goal of how many books I wanted to read? Did I not? And getting the opportunity to almost reassess. I personally didn't set any book reading goals this year. However, I was really excited to make this list of summer reading books, this TBR, because it gave me this opportunity to go, okay, in this more condensed period of time, my plan is to read these things. I am a really cardinal person. I'm a Capricorn. I have so many planets in Capricorn. My angles are, in the cardinal signs. I'm a Capricorn rising. I need little challenges. I feel I'm the type of person who I can fathom working on something really hard for a couple of weeks or a week or two, or even just sitting down and doing something in one sitting. I can fathom that a lot more than I'm gonna do something slowly over the course of a year or something. I'm whoa, there's too much time, there's too much room for, I don't know, things to get put off or whatever. I'm very cardinal. I like a challenge. I okay, I'm gonna read these books in the summer months, and if I don't get to them, then that's fine and I'll read them in the fall. But just this idea that I'm condensing this into this time really works for me. But this is my first tip, is really considering what is going to work for you the best. For you, you might be a cardinal person, right? And I'm talking about the modes in astrology, which can really help with things like building routines and understanding where your energy levels are. So you might be really cardinal as well, and you might resonate with this, and you want a summer TBR challenge, right? For those of you who are more fixed, you might prefer a year-long course of study with something. You might prefer to focus really deeply on one subject all year long, slowly, and that's kind of the way that you're gonna approach things. For mutable signs and mutable people, you might feel you almost want your hands on a bunch of things all at once. So maybe you have a couple of books that you're tandem reading together. So maybe you are, picking books in all the same topic that you can read alongside each other. Or maybe you're strategically picking books in different topics, and you want to read widely and you want to make sure that you're covering your your bases with that. I find that mutable people tend to not want to get boxed into like one subject. They want to read really widely and kind of have their hands on all of the subjects all at once. So just prepare for that and maybe decide like what those subjects are going to be. You know what I mean? Like I want to have a reread category. I want to have a fun reads category. I want to have like my herbal, like I want to study herbalism, like whatever it is for you, right? So consider your rising sign and consider what modality that rising sign is. So cardinal signs, mutable signs, or fixed signs. And then ask yourself, is my advice for each mode applicable to you? Does that make sense? Is that something that you want to do? Or is one of the other options a little bit more your style? So you can think about it through the modes. When it comes to creating routines, I always like to think about things through the modes because I just find it really helpful. I'm cardinal and my moon is mutable, so I have my hands on a lot of different topics and I'm giving myself this challenge to read them all. So there you go. I find it really helpful to make this distinction of like, am I at this point in my life where I want to go really deep into one subject, or do I want to broaden things up a little bit and read more widely? I also like to ask myself, is there a topic that I need to brush up on? Like a topic that I really haven't read about in a long time that I'm almost like losing, I don't want to say like losing my grasp over, but a topic that I'm like, ooh, I haven't really read a new publication about this in a while, so it would probably do me well to read a new book or maybe an old classic about this topic to refresh that. So considering what topics you want to refresh, what you want to go deeper into and learn more about in sort of a more specialized, specific way, and then if there's anything that you want to learn about for the first time, any topics that you want to be introduced to. And I'm thinking about this sort of from the perspective of the occult and the witchcraft space, tarot, astrology, like all of these, sister topics to one another, right? But this could really be about anything. This could go for any course of study that you are creating for yourself, that you're giving yourself, any kind of like study book list, right? That you're doing for yourself. So the first category is going to be nonfiction. Then we're going to get into fiction. Then we're going to get into my rereads. So the books that I am doing rereads over at this time of the year. And there is actually one fiction reread, so I will include that. Maybe I'll pull that and include that in the reread section. So let's get into the nonfiction books that I have on my TBR. Here they all are. I'm so excited. So this one I got most recently. I recently bought this at 7 Stars in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It's like my favorite occult bookstore in Massachusetts. So if you're ever in Cambridge, definitely hit up 7 Stars. It's in Central Square. And so this is called Ancient Magic, a Practitioner's Guide to the Supernatural in Greece and Rome. And by the way, I'm going to put all of these books into a big summer reading list in the description. So if you want to shop any of these books, if you want to take a look at any of these books, click the link in the description or in the show notes, and they're all going to be listed there. So you can just basically get all the links right there. So this book I'm really excited about. I picked this one up because there's actually a huge section on the underworld here, and I thought that was so cool. And I really like that this book is written by somebody in the academic study of paganism and ancient magic, but it is written in a way that I think is really accessible to so many people. And I love that this is kind of a primer for a bunch of different types of magic in ancient Greece and Rome. It's just really helpful to have like a book like this that condenses kind of all of the most interesting things or like the greatest hits or something like that into a really easy to read source book. So yeah, this one is going to be really fun. I feel like I'm going to keep going back to this for a while as a reference book for different types of ancient magic. So I'm very excited about this one. The next 2 books are about a topic that I'm really excited to revisit. I haven't really read a lot of tarot books recently, so I'm so excited about these 2 new releases from Wiser. So the first is The Tarot Architect, and this is by Lon Milo Duquette, very famous occult author and ceremonial magician author. And so this book is on tarot, and I'm just really excited to dive into this one. I love, again, all of the charts and the illustrations in here. I find these types of charts and references and like lists of correspondence is really helpful. And yeah, I really haven't read a lot of tarot books recently. So this is definitely something that, you know, it's a topic that I know a lot about. I've been a tarot reader since 2018 professionally, but it's always good to, you know, keep reading, right? And keep expanding your awareness of the topic. So I'm really excited about this book, especially since it is a new release from Wiser. So, and then the other one is Tarot in Other Words. So this is an anthology about tarot. It's a bunch of essays about tarot. It was edited by Cassandra Snow. This is basically about looking at tarot from a queer lens, and each of the essays explores different cards or different parts of the tarot deck from a queer lens. So I think that this type of book is so necessary and so exciting, and I've already like peeked a little bit and I've started reading one of the essays and I've been really enjoying it. And I love like when people write essays or kind of expand on the more traditional correspondences of things. I feel like through musing about how these things have shown up in your readings and really like talking about how you have interpreted these things or how we can restructure the way that we interpret things. I just think it's so helpful. And not every reader is going to read the same way, but that's why I love reading books like this, especially with a ton of different authors writing essays, because then I can really see a bunch of new and different perspectives on an existing topic that I love. And I feel like I just learn so much when I read these types of books. The next one is one that I already started reading. I've kind of been reading this one, but I will be finishing it over the summer. It's a collection of essays about the Homeric Hymn to Demeter, and this was put out by Princeton Press. And yeah, there's just a bunch of different commentaries and interpretive essays on the Homeric Hymn to Demeter. So this is definitely something that is super up my alley. I find it really important to keep as up to date as I can on this particular topic because I'm a Hades and Persephone devotee. This hymn is so important to me. I care so much about it. People online always accuse me of not reading the Homeric Hymn to Demeter because of my, love for Hades, and everybody's always sort of saying in like a snarky way, like, oh, you probably haven't even read this because if you did, you would not worship Hades, which not true. But, this is a little bit of a stick to the people who say that I've never read the Homeric Hymn to Demeter. I've read it and I'm reading this whole essay book about it. So I don't know what to tell you. Next, I'm going to be reading Theurgy, Theory and Practice, The Mysteries of the Ascent to the Divine. This one I'm really excited about. So this is by P.D. Newman. And yeah, it says Homeric Epics, the Chaldean Oracles, and Neoplatonic Ritual. Yeah, I've already started reading this one a little bit, as you can see. But my husband told me about this book. He's a librarian, so he knows about the books. And he's always like, oh, Angelica, I know you haven't read this book, or I haven't seen you with this book. You should check this one out. So he was the one that picked this one out for me and was like, you should definitely read this. And I'm just really excited about this. Theurgy is something that I am always super interested in as a pagan, as somebody who works with the divine, and I just love, reading about different theories of Theurgy in different ways that the ancients would have understood Theurgy, so super excited about this. And then the last nonfiction book that I'm reading for the first time this summer is going to be The Courage to be Disliked. So this is a book, again, that my husband has suggested for me. And he says that this will be helpful for me as a content creator, as somebody who is online. I'm like outing myself as somebody who needs this book. But honestly, I think so many people could benefit from a book like this, right? That helps you almost like detach from the perspectives of others, or, caring about what people think about you and that sort of thing, and really kind of coming back into yourself. The thing that I like about this book, and I haven't started reading it yet, but the thing that I like about this book is that everything is written in a dialogue. So it's sort of like a Socratic dialogue back and forth between like the philosopher and like the young person who is asking the philosopher in this book's question. So I really like books like this. I find that books like this are sort of, you know, working philosophies that we can learn from. So I expect this to be a book that gives me a lot of takeaways and almost like, you know, what's the word, like aphoristic advice on how to work through things that we struggle with in the modern era. So The Courage to be Disliked. I'm really excited about this one. The next stack are the fiction books that I'm reading, and this stack might grow. Like this one might grow. I also would love some fiction recommendations from y'all. I'm especially looking for urban fantasy recs because I love urban fantasy. I love like any type of urban fantasy. So whether it's like paranormal, urban fantasy, or what have you, tell me your recommendations for specifically that genre. But this is what I'm going to be reading as far as fiction this summer. So the first one is Beach Read by Emily Henry. My friend gave me this book a while ago and I just haven't gotten around to it, but I figure like what a better time for beach read than the summer. The funny thing about this is I started reading the first chapter and the male like lead reminds me so much of my husband. I think this is why my friend gave this to me, because she knows him. He looks like he's described to me like my husband. He's totally he just has the personality that my husband does. So part of me is like excited to read this for the sole fact that the guy that just reminds me of my husband. So I feel like it's always good to have a romance novel going like that, right? The next one is called The Disco Witches of Fire Island. I'm really excited about this one. This is by Blair Fell. This is kind of like an LGBTQ romance book. There's like a secret coven of disco witches and I don't know. It just seems like a really fun book. It seems really cool. I feel like from what I can tell, it's pretty well written. That's something that I sometimes struggle with you know, contemporary books or romance. I love romance. I just love it, right? I'm a huge fan, but I sometimes struggle with the prose. I really like good writing, and sometimes I feel like I don't really get that as much with modern romance books, but this, I was flipping through at the bookstore and I was like, this feels really well done and well written. So I'm super excited about this one. The next one is the new Ali Hazelwood release. So this one is called Problematic Summer Romance. And here's a secret about me. Maybe it's not a secret. I'm like a huge sucker for age gap books. Like I just am obsessed with age gap. So when I heard that Miss Ali Hazelwood was putting out an age gap book, I was like, okay, you know, I'm not like the biggest fan of Ali Hazelwood. I really liked The Love Hypothesis, hilariously enough. Like I really enjoyed that one. I haven't quite been able to find an Ali Hazelwood book since that I like as much as The Love Hypothesis, but hopefully this is gonna be it. I started reading it already. I think I'm like this way through. I like it. I like the premise. I like the characters, which is sometimes, I don't know, a hard thing to like about a book. I find that sometimes characters in romance books, I don't really resonate with them, but so far I'm enjoying it. So let's hope that it continues to be like that. If you have age gap romance books, please let me know. I would love to read them. And then the next one is Sluts Anthology. So I saw this in a bookstore and it just has such a cute cover, like, of course, right? This is edited by Michelle T, and it is a collection of short stories, mostly, I believe. But basically, they're all based off of this idea of sexuality, exploring this topic, diving deeper into it. And the last fiction book that I'm reading this summer is called Softcore. This one is by Brittany Newell. I've already started reading this one. I'm like halfway through. I'm a huge fan of the writing in this one. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I think the plot, I'm about halfway through, the plot is kind of lacking. I feel like it's really one of those like all vibe books, all vibe minimal plot, but it's super, super gorgeously written, and it's basically about a stripper who her boyfriend like goes missing, and she's kind of trying to find him. I wish she was trying to find him a little bit more. I think it's kind of like the boyfriend is missing, and so far she's sort of like, he's missing. I'm gonna still go to work, but like in the back of my head, I'm gonna be trying to figure out where he is. So that's what I say. Like, I feel like I wish there was a little bit more like investigation going on. Maybe there will be, but it's just so gorgeously written. The prose is like incredible. I'm obsessed. The last section is my reread section. These are the books that I'm going to be rereading this summer. The first one is fiction. So this is one of my favorite novellas of all time. It's called Orpheus. It's by Nuzuli Aray. She's a Turkish writer, and I believe this came out like in the 80s or 90s, this book, but it's a very short novella, and it's basically like a retelling of Orpheus and Eurydice. I say retelling in like the lightest way. It's a retelling, but it's sort of, it's one of these like very magically real kind of surrealist novellas. Like, it kind of doesn't make sense, it kind of does. The retelling aspect, I think, is very loose, but it works. Like, this is one of my favorite novellas ever. Like, it just, or just novels. Like, I am obsessed with this book. It's so beautiful. I love the way it's written. I feel like it's written in a very kind of matter-of-fact, almost like Hemingway-esque way. I just think that this is such an underrated book. I've never heard anyone talking about it. I found it randomly in a bookstore, and since then it's just become one of my favorite books. But it takes place in like a beachside town, so I wanted to reread it this summer, and I'm probably going to take this one with me on my vacation this summer, like my trip that I'm going on, because I'm going to be in a beach city, and it reminds me of the main character Eurydice going to a beach city for the course of this novella. So I'll probably be bringing this one with me, and it's very small, so I feel like this is a good one to travel with. The next reread is Marcello Ficino's 3 books on life. This is a medieval book on astrology and herbalism and kind of like the medicine of the time, but Marcello Ficino was an occultist and an astrologer, and there's so much in here that I just think is fascinating implications as an astrologer, and there's just so much in here where he's kind of like linking astrology with different like magical protocols that he recommends people doing, or like stones, metals, herbs, that sort of thing. Since I am a magical astrologer and I do a lot of work with clients on, you know, exploring their magical practice through looking at their natal chart and kind of, you know, using like remediation techniques and really just deepening into their magical practice based off of astrology, these types of books are always really exciting for me to go through again, reread. I'm actually planning a video around this book, so stay tuned for more on Marcello Ficino's 3 books on life. The next reread is going to be the Odyssey. So this book, the reason why I'm rereading it right now is because I was listening to the Saturn-Neptune conjunction panel that Nightlight Astrology put out. It's another great YouTube channel on astrology. They had like 9 astrologers together doing a panel on the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which is an event that's happening technically it's happening in 2026, but we're seeing a preview of it this summer. So they were talking about how the Odyssey is a really great, like almost allegorical way to understand this transit of Saturn and Neptune. So I'm reading it this summer, and I plan to do a little bit more work with it in the springtime and like next winter, when the astrological event of the Saturn and Neptune conjunction really exacts and comes together. So I'm kind of rereading this summer, making notes on it, doing some preliminary stuff on it. I want to do like a group reread of this on my Patreon next winter. So I'm just kind of prepping for that now so that I can like run it almost as a book club thing in the winter. So stay tuned for this. I really want to read this during like the Saturn-Neptune conjunction next winter with y'all, but I just want to reread it myself this summer. So I, you know, have the talking points and I'm making the notes for myself to be able to hold discussion about it next winter. The last book that I'm rereading this summer is this book on star lore. So it's called The Constellation Myths. And it is a Oxford World Classics book. I really loved working with the constellations and the fixed stars in all of the astrology that I do, and this is something that I am learning more about and specializing in more and more. I'm going to basically like a seminar this summer that's going to be about constellations and fixed stars. So I wanted to reread this for the seminar that I'm attending over the summer because I think it's going to be really helpful in just kind of like recalling everything so that when I go, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that constellation. I know where it is. I know what the lore behind it is. So I'm excited to give that one a reread. There's 16 books in my TBR. Let's see if I read them all. Let's see if I can get to them all. Some of them I've already started and I like to tandem read. Like I like to, you know, like I'm like halfway through this one. I've read the first chapter of most of these so far. So let's see what I can get done. I'm going to update y'all in my stories when I finish one of these books, and I'll give you like my little review of it. If you want to find any of these books, if any of these books looks really interesting to you, take a look in the show notes or in the description because I have a link to this entire summer reading list where you can click on it and purchase them directly from there. Thank you so much for listening and watching. If you're watching over on YouTube, subscribe to this channel. We post videos every Wednesday for Diaries of a Witch podcast. And we're going to start putting out more videos throughout the month, like the one I'm working on that has to do with the 3 books on life. I'm really, really excited about that video, but we're going to start posting more on YouTube, so make sure you're subscribed. If you're listening on a podcast platform, rate the show and follow the show on whatever platform you listen to your podcasts. And if you would like exclusive access to live events, spell recipes, live streams, and so much more, please consider joining my Patreon. Our next live event is going to be on Tuesday, June 24th. We are having a Jupiter Cazimi Coven meeting. So this is a really exciting event. Basically, I'm going to be doing a Jupiter Cazimi spell for success, recognition, and good luck for everyone in the Coven tier. So if you're in the Coven tier, I will be putting your name into the petition for this Jupiter and Cazimi abundance and good luck spell. But we are also having a meeting on the Jupiter Cazimi at 7 p.m. Eastern, where we're going to be doing some like body doubling around spiritual cleansing. So come, bring all of your spiritual cleansing tools, hang out with us in the Coven meeting. We're going to be coming together to cleanse ourselves, our houses, and we're going to do it all so that we can welcome in the blessings of the Jupiter Cazimi spell that I'm going to be doing earlier in that day. So it's a really exciting event because not only do you get like me doing a spell on your behalf, you being involved in the petition, but you also get to come to our Jupiter Cazimi Coven meeting later that night. So consider joining, being a part of the community, chatting with us over on Discord, and enjoying all of the extra content that comes out every single month. And I wanted to give a shout out to all of my patrons. I think we have like 80 patrons, so I think we may have too many for me to list them all out by name, unfortunately. I don't know. If you guys missed this, please let me know because I will list out the names as long as you want, honestly. But I have instead decided to include them on the screen, so I could not do this without you. This is why I'm able to keep putting out as much content that I do. So thank you. We will talk soon, and goodbye.